All right, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the work my lab is doing with freshwater mussels in Oklahoma. I started out about 30 years ago focusing on endangered species, and now I've come a long way from them to look at how mussels provide ecosystem services. This is the beautiful Kiamichi River down in southeastern Oklahoma where I do a lot of my work. So freshwater mussels, for those of you who aren't familiar with them, are bivalve mollusks. They can get up to about this big in Oklahoma rivers, and they're really long-lived. Some species, we've aged them up to 80 years in Oklahoma, so they're long-lived organisms, and they form these beds in rivers, and they are sedentary, so the adults live there for most of their lives, so they can't escape environmental disturbances. Eastern Oklahoma is actually a hot spot for freshwater mussel diversity in North America, and North America is the center of freshwater mussel diversity. We have over 300 species. We have 55 in Oklahoma, and freshwater mussels are one of the most imperiled groups of organisms globally, which is part of why I'm interested in them. So I'm going to focus on three main areas that my lab has been looking at, and then end with some areas that I really need help exploring. So first, we've looked at where are our mussel species in Oklahoma rivers, and what are their habitat requirements and relationships with other species. This has involved lots of field work and also lots of experiments. So this is the Kiamichi River watershed here, and each one of these black dots is a mussel bed that we've mapped. We know the species composition of that mussel bed and actually the size, composition, and ages of mussels in those mussel beds, and that helps us scale up ecosystem function, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then we've done lots of experiments where we're looking at what mussels' habitat requirements are and what their relationships are with other species. Secondly, we're really interested in specifically the environmental flow requirements of these species. So this is the Kiamichi River in 2011. This is a riffle area that would normally be flowing. Thousands of mussels died. It was a catastrophic event. Here's a model that we've developed showing how we can try to provide water for mussels and when we should provide it. So I'd be interested in talking with people about that. And then finally, we're really interested in what mussels do in ecosystems. So mussels are really powerful filter feeders, and we have quantified and published all these things. So they're biofilters. They filter the water. They recycle and store nutrients. They're very important in food webs, and they provide habitat for many other organisms in rivers. But we also know that we're losing these services because mussel populations are declining from events like that drought that I showed you the picture of a minute ago, which was exacerbated by poor water management. So we can take the data that we've measured on how much water mussels filter and how many nutrients they cycle. We can measure the biomass of those mussels in the river, and we can scale that. So here, for example, is the amount of water filtered by mussels in the Kiamichi River in 1991, their nutrient storage, and their nutrient cycling. And then here's what it was in 2011 after that drought and after we had lost so much mussel biomass in the river. So we want to be able to put dollar amounts on these values. So these are the questions that I'm interested in exploring. We want to do more in quantifying the biophysical ecosystem services that these animals provide. I really want to talk to people here about how we go about determining the economic and social value of these ecosystem services, and I really need to work with social scientists to do that. And then also work on establishing environmental flow guides for these rivers. And I have 20 seconds.